Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto explaining and bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about why the last two chapters of 2 Blue Vortex might have introduced a method to do the one thing that so many fans have wanted to see, which is MSGA, make Sasuke great again, due to the information that we have been given in regards to the Thorn Soul bulbs and saving the people who have been sealed away inside the trees are sealed away in. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explain video where we do something extremely dangerous and we offer that ever so elusive sliver of hope regarding Sasuke finally getting the damage undone to his body in Boruto, finally at long last. Also, if you've not seen the chapter review yet, the chapter review is up on the channel, so make sure to drop by to see what the editor cooked up. Now, to be completely transparent, longtime viewers of the channel, you guys know exactly where I fall on this topic, which is I personally don't want to, nor do I think we'll see Sasuke coming back into the series with a brand new RINNEGAN or a repaired arm or some monster power-up that pushes his power level beyond where he previously was before Code defeated Sasuke during the time skip. However, this newest chapter, it does raise some rather interesting points and possibilities that I don't think we can fully ignore either. And based on the comment section, a few of you guys, you started coming to this conclusion as well, that even if you are Team Sasuke isn't going to get a new arm, Sasuke isn't going to get a new eye, maybe, just maybe, things are beginning to look up. Maybe we need to start treating this like a Kashin Koji coming back seemingly from the abyss. In the chapter, we were told that if someone manages to completely destroy the awakened Shinju made from a person's chakra, and return it to the tree that they have been sealed away inside of, that it will result in the person being revived because placing the Thorn Soul bulb in the tree will restore them. The examples given were Ryu and Shinki, with Ryu being defeated and Shinki being revived, and then Matsuri being defeated and Moegi being revived. Hypothetically, you could save them based on what Kashin Koji told Shikamaru, and Shikamaru relayed that information to Konohamaru. However, Sasuke's name, he was absent in all of this, and that's where this gets very interesting. Sasuke, as he's covered up currently, has the side of his face where the Rinnegan was previously located and the arm that he blew off fighting Naruto completely sealed up, and many fans have pointed that out, saying that the tree that he's trapped inside of, the wood release, it could be a factor, if for no other reason than the connection to the Ten Tails. And honestly, again, even though I personally, I'm not on board with this, I don't want to see it, I do think there might be something here worth discussing, and here is why. And you guessed it, there is a Buddhism link here that I do think requires us to have a much deeper meaning of a confirmed theme of the Boruto story that comes to us directly from Mikio Ikimoto, the illustrator of the Boruto manga, where he himself stated how Boruto contrasts from Naruto as a story. And all of this stuff here is completely connected when you look at what Ikimoto was actually saying when he said what he said a few years ago. So starting things off with number one, we have the tree and the connection to the wood release and the whole healing factor. So the tree Sasuke sealed away inside of, it may resonate with the Shinju / God tree and other Ten Tails derived elements when you really sit down and you think about it. So trees in the Naruto universe, particularly those that are linked to wood release, they have profound regenerative and healing properties. We've seen it multiple times. They can suppress chakra, but also there's a healing factor associated with wood release. Wood release is uniquely tied to Hashirama Shinju, whose chakra and extremely strong life force were so potent that they could heal injuries, as we see, and really aid in recovery time. The tree containing Sasuke, it will function similarly, leveraging an innate healing capability that you see associated with that on top of any power increase you might get. Sasuke's missing arm and the damaged eye, they are physically bound within the tree, as we see based on how everything's drawn, implying that the tree might absorb his essence or use regenerative capabilities to reconstruct those parts. After all, we see it with Hidari. He's not missing an arm. He's got a brand new arm. He's got Rinnegan. The claw grimes, when they do bite someone, they do turn them into trees, and that is directly linked to a person's chakra, as we've seen. They also eventually produce a awakened Shinju made up of the chakra of those who have been bitten, with the people sealed away inside the trees being kept at a near state of absolute zero chakra, unable to move while their chakra is gone. it leaves their body unable to function outside of being in that constant state of limbo. Yet their bodies are encased in the chakra that comes from the tree produced by the claw grime, which brings us to the larger claw grime connection. So that brings us to point number 2, the claw grimes and the ten tails connection as a whole. So the claw grime, it is formed from Code's chakra and its essence, the ten tails life force, and Ishiki Otsutsuki's karma infused chakra, since Code, by having the karma seal, does have that chakra. He just can't be used for resurrection purposes. As Boruto says, karma is something that comes as a byproduct of the Otsutsuki clan itself. So there are some connections there, and then you add in the Shibai factor. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo to wade through here. So the ten tails, it possesses a vast and overwhelming life force. It's a inherent property of Otsutsuki biology when you think about it. Its energy is capable of both destruction and restoration depending on its use. The combination of Code's modified chakra and Ishiki's essence, it adds to the karmic potential, which is known to heal wounds and restore lost abilities and even revive individuals depending on how it is used. We see it in example when Boruto is healed after sustaining damage because karma healed Boruto. We also see it when it comes to the ability to revive individuals, because it is implied by Jigen when he's controlled by Ishiki that he could have brought Amato's daughter back to life. We also know that karma in itself is a tool for resurrection. So there is something there that you could twist when it comes to that. Now, it also boils down to this. So if the tree itself is interacting with Sasuke's body, while it is infused with claw grime or ten tails derived essence or Ishiki's essence, it could act as a catalyst to regenerate Sasuke's arm and his Rinnegan. This would align with the karmic theme of renewal and transformation in the Naruto and Boruto universe. But to fully understand that, you have to now go into the third point, which is chakra and energy in Buddhism as a whole. So in Buddhism, chakra represents the wheels of energy within the body, aligning with life force and spiritual transformation. Sasuke's potential healing, it could symbolize the Buddhism idea of samsara, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, or Motsuka, which is the liberation and transcendence. There's a lot going on here, so allow me to explain it for you. So the Rinnegan, it is often associated with samsara, and it directly ties into these ideas. If Sasuke's Rinnegan is restored, it may indicate his spiritual and karmic atonement, moving toward balance and enlightenment, which is what you seek when you're going through that cycle of suffering. The tree itself could be a metaphor for the Bodhi tree, which under the Buddhist belief of the Buddha that achieved enlightenment, that's something to look at. So if Sasuke is metaphorically reborn through this tree, it could signal his personal growth and transcendence of his past sins. For Sasuke, the powers that he gained, the Rinnegan namely, their powers that directly trace back to the inspiration behind all six past powers that can be traced back to Kaguya, which by this, I don't mean six past powers as in the chakra of the 9 Biju that someone has, like say Madara, Obito, or Naruto. Since Kaguya was the mother of chakra, by giving birth to Hagoromo, who then passed on Ninshu to the ninja world itself, so many elements of what we see are representative of the six paths representation, and so much of Naruto is a story about the cycle of samsara itself, which, as you'll see in a moment, is very important when looking at the overall theme of Boruto because of what the writing is doing. Which brings me to the fourth point here. So that's going to be the Shinto parallels, because again, longtime viewers of the channel, you've heard me say it before. In Naruto and Boruto, there are a lot of Shinto influences. So in Shinto, you have sacred trees. They are often seen as vessels of divine energy or a connection point between the realms themselves. You could say that right now Sasuke technically isn't in the Pure Land because he's not dead, but he's not alive either. The tree sealing Sasuke may serve as a vessel, if you will, a channeling spirit or a natural energy that could restore him to a degree. Sasuke's restoration, it would parallel the Shinto tales of renewal and purification. A really great example of this is linked to the Uchiha clan itself. So you have Izanagi, a forbidden jutsu of the Uchiha clan. Well, in one of Izanagi's stories, Izanagi has purification after escaping the underworld, which led to the birth of a new life in light itself. Similarly, Sasuke could emerge from this tree purified and completely empowered, ready to fulfill a new role in the story, if you decide to go that route. Again, I told you, I'm going to sell you a little bit of copium right here. Now, This is also where we get into the fifth point, which is going to be the narrative and thematic implications. So here's why you do have to say all of this stuff here. It might go against the Naruto themes itself, which is why I personally don't want it. So we do have to address this first before we get into the whole thing about symbolizing atonement. So it could go against the themes of Naruto because one core of the Naruto theme is that power does come at a cost. Sasuke's missing arm and his blinded Rinnegan, they are physical manifestations of his sacrifices and his past sins. Restoring these might appear to undermine that idea that true growth comes from living with and overcoming one's limitations, because as we're told repeatedly in Naruto, what does a shinobi do? A shinobi must endure. That's why Sasuke tells Boruto, hey, a shinobi deals with the cards they're given. Paraphrasing what he said in episode 2:18 or 19, but you get what I'm saying. So this is also why we have to look at the atonement portion. So alternatively, if Sasuke's arm and Rinnegan are restored through external forces, in this case the tree and the claw rod, rather than a selfless ambition, which that would come from, hey Amato, give me a new arm, hey Orochimaru, make me a new Rinnegan, or vice versa. That's a selfish ambition. This way, going this route, it would symbolize his acceptance of help and his karmic reward for atonement. And when you get into the whole thing with Indra and his reincarnates, what was the one problem they had? They went through acquiring power and etc. off of their own skills. They didn't learn what Ashura and his reincarnates understood, which is that it's okay to ask for help. Now, the restoration of his arm, that could be a symbolizing of strength, and his Rinnegan is a representation of vision and insight that could indicate that Sasuke has fully reconciled with his past and is now ready to protect the future. It may show that he has transcended the pain and isolation of his former self, something that Sasuke has been continuously grappling with. The idea of Sasuke Uchiha regaining a new arm and a Rinnegan in Boruto, it does resonate deeply with the series' overall themes of breaking free of the familial bonds and expectations and the cycles of suffering, i.e. samsara, that dominated the Naruto story. Not my words, those are Ikimoto's words. This narrative arc, it could symbolize Sasuke's transcendence beyond the karmic burdens of his past and a shift towards a liberated existence. Now that is my words. So to understand what I mean by this, let's first look at the deeper meaning behind Boruto's themes in terms of escaping family bonds and expectations. Clip this part out for the Boruto haters. So in Boruto, the narrative emphasizes individuality, breaking free of inherited destinies, and forging one's own path. It's a slight contrast to Naruto, which focuses very heavily on bonds and familiar cycles, though Naruto does eventually break free of his own cycle that he was destined to have as a reincarnated Ashura. However, here's the thing. Sasuke, as Boruto's mentor, he carries a legacy rooted in the Uchiha clan's cycle of hatred and the samsaric repetition of vengeance and suffering. While the hatred between transmigrants has been broken, so much of Naruto and Sasuke's powers, they are all rooted in samsara elements. That is a crucial part of their characters. Sasuke's missing arm and his lost Rinnegan, they are physical markers and reminders of his past sins and his sacrifices. They represent the burden of carrying forward the cycle of pain that defined so much of Sasuke's life in Naruto, and that defines so much of his actions in the Boruto era because of what it is he's trying to preserve. Regaining all of these through external forces like the tree and Ishiki's chakra infused into the claw grinds via code, it could symbolize Sasuke breaking free from those familiar expectations, such as living with perpetual atonement that seems to never end for his character, instead of being trapped in this cycle, which he has been. Sasuke is shown theoretically in this scenario actively moving forward, embracing renewal, truly forgiving himself, and leaving behind the karmic wheel of cause and effect. And when you look at the circumstances that led them getting sealed away and everything to deal with omnipotence and the fact that his daughter played such a huge role in him going down this path, it really lines up when you look at that. And that brings us to the whole breaking of the cycle of samsara. So in Buddhism philosophy, samsara is this endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. It never ends. It's driven by karma, and it is characterized by suffering, intense suffering. Characters in Naruto, again, they are emblematic of this cycle. Naruto and Sasuke and many others who inherit the karmic cycles and replaying the dynamics of their predecessors, i.e. Hashirama versus Madara, Ashura versus Indra, Might Guy versus his youth, Rock Lee versus his eyebrows. Those are silly points, but you get the point. The Rinnegan, however, to get serious though, it is explicitly tied to samsara. It reinforced the theme that greater power often traps its wielder in cycles of conflict and responsibility. It is why when you look at what the third databook says about the Rinnegan, it calls it a samsaric power, and it says it is a power that can either be used for either great destruction or it can be used as a power of a god for restoration. Sasuke, who used the Rinnegan and initially was trying to challenge an oppressive system because he wanted to overhaul the ninja system itself, he ultimately paid the price through loss and physical sacrifice, i.e. Naruto put those hands on him and said, if you don't sit your ass down. In Boruto, however, the narrative, it leans towards transcending through these cycles. Sasuke regaining his arm and his Rinnegan, those mechanisms that could be used, i.e. basically Ishiki's chakra that comes through the Karma seal, it signifies and it signals liberation rather than entrapment. His rebirth is not about returning to his old roles, but moving past them, something that again, some people that are Sasuke dick riders don't want to hear. It's moving past your old role. His old role was being the top dog. This is a transcending of the karmic debts of his clan and his past choices, finally being made even. Ishiki's chakra and the Dharma wheel is the next thing you gotta look at. So Ishiki's Kokugan, which is patterned after the Dharma wheel, it symbolizes control over life and destiny. That is a key theme to Ishiki's character because of what it is he's trying to escape. The Dharma wheel in Buddhism, it represents a path to enlightenment, with the 8 spokes all aligned to the noble 8 trifold path that leads to liberation from samsara. Hence why you see Jigen with some of the spokes, but you see Ishiki and Kawaki with all of them. Ishiki, however, he himself also embodies domination, stagnation, using the Kokugan to enforce his will rather than foster enlightenment, something that Kawaki unknowingly is walking down that same path. The chakra infused into the claw grind, which is derived from Ishiki's karma that was bestowed upon Code and the Ten Tails energy and some of Shibai's DNA because of what Code is. It carries traces of that same oppressive cycle. When the claw grind bites Sasuke and interacts with the tree, it paradoxically becomes a tool of renewal rather than destruction when you really think about it. Sasuke's use of this situation where all of this comes directly because of what Ishiki gave to Code, it is a force that is tied to the Dharma will itself, is a means to potentially heal and restore himself. That symbolizes a subversion of the will's traditional representation. Instead of being trapped by this cycle, Sasuke is potentially going to be able to transcend the cycle altogether. And that leads us to another point, which is the transcending of samsara through the act of atonement. Sasuke regaining his arm and his Rinnegan, it doesn't just restore physical capabilities, which for the power scalers, that means that Sasuke generates 6 quintillion, septillion gigatons of whatever force when he swings his left nutsack around and everything goes boom, boom, bam. Instead, it represents spiritual and karmic evolution. This transcendence, it can be tied to this. Breaking free from past roles, Sasuke moves beyond the archetype of the Avenger or the roles that are tied directly with the Uchiha clan when it comes to their place in the karmic cycle of samsara. You also have atonement through action, not necessarily through suffering. So Sasuke's atonement is no longer about living in perpetual sacrifice, this self-imposed rule that he must be a wanderer and go on this whole journey of redemption, but instead is about empowering himself to protect the future. You also have liberation through renewal. The restoration of the body signifies not a return to power for one's own sake, but shedding and shredding the past burdens that one was bothered with. It aligns with Boruto's theme of leaving behind inherited struggles to forge a unique destiny. Hence why Ikimoto said back in 2018, it's about moving past the familial bonds and expectations. You also have this, the narrative contrast with Naruto, something that is easy to overlook because there's such a Boruto hate mob agenda that you see online. So in Naruto, characters, they were deeply enmeshed in samsara. Naruto, for instance, he inherited the burden that came from his father's sacrifice. Even though Minato did not intend it, Naruto did inherit the burden that came with that, which is a whole nother video in of itself. Sasuke bore the weight that was coming from the Uchiha clan's hatred and the cycles of conflict repeated endlessly. And Sasuke also was someone who was born having to carry a lot of that distrust that was fostered towards the Uchiha clan. You also have power that is often trapped in characters in roles that is dictated by their karmic inheritance, which is why Naruto and Sasuke breaking free of that cycle of samsara, or trying to break it and only managing to truly break the cycle of hatred behind the reincarnates, was so important. So in Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, it too is seeking to escape from those karmic cycles. So Boruto resists becoming someone who's in the shadow of his father. He is trying to carve out his own identity. That's why Boruto says this is not the story of the kid who wants to be Hokage. That story's over. He's basically saying, if your ass is stuck in Naruto Shippuden, this ain't the story for you. Now, with Kawaki, he rejects the Otsutsuki's oppressive destiny. Kawaki is trying to forge his own path forward because so much of his life, he was always seen as a tool to be used by others. Kawaki's trying to find his humanity. Sasuke regaining his arm and his Rinnegan through forces tied to Ishiki and the Ten Tails and Shibai, it symbolizes his break from those karmic patterns of the past. It highlights growth and freedom, and those are themes that are central to Boruto's story. When you get to Sasuke's liberation, it gets even deeper here. So Sasuke's power-up, it would contrast sharply with Naruto's themes of enduring suffering and sacrifice. Instead, it aligns with Boruto's emphasis on liberation and transformation, which is why you do have moments where you go, my God, Boruto does not feel like it's Naruto, because it's by design. And that's why I keep saying the deeper understanding you have of Buddhism and Shintoism, the more you can really see what Ikimoto's doing here with the writing. It's all intentional. So the tree's healing and Ishiki's chakra as tools of renewal, they illustrate the idea that even forces born of domination, they can catalyze freedom when used in service of growth. Thematically, Sasuke's potential restoration, it symbolizes a full circle moment where his atonement is no longer about loss, but achieving a higher state of existence, one that breaks free of the Uchiha clan's tragic cycle and empowers him to guide the next generation. Though, to play devil's advocate, to go back to my personal stance on this, you can do the same thing without him getting a Rinnegan or a new arm. Both things still work for his character, and I think that's where we're ultimately going with Sasuke's character. He's going to transcend that cycle of samsara through healing and renewal. It might not be physical, which is what I think it won't be physical, but it might be in a more symbolic way. Either way works. Sasuke epitomizes the evolution and the progression from the karmic burdens that Naruto had to be liberated in the ethos of the Boruto lore. In conclusion, I'll say this as well. Sasuke's potential power-up, it aligns with Buddhist and Shinto symbolisms of rebirth, renewal, and karmic balance. Thematically, it represents a subversion from those Naruto themes of sacrifice, and also a culmination of Sasuke's journey towards redemption. If it is executed thoughtfully, which I have no reason to believe it won't be, it could reflect his growth and signal that he has finally atoned for his sins while preparing for his next chapter as a protector of the next generation, which this next generation is currently evolving, which again is why I don't think that we get that full journey there with Sasuke. When he does reach his escape and his freedom, he's going to pass on his Will of Fire, which is how you twist that back into Naruto. If you enjoyed this video, click here to watch the Boruto chapter review if you've not seen it yet. And if you want to see more thoughtful videos like this for other series without the theory portion, click here to watch a video from my Anime Explained channel where I talk about non-Naruto content.